You know, there was one Sasquatch that was giant. It looked very weird, it looked surreal. I didn't know what I was looking at. I didn't know how to react or feel.
In this video, we explore creepy moments where isolation turns into pure terror. From rustling of trees to guttural growls and silhouettes that one cannot explain, these encounters all share one thing. Someone had been alone, and someone was watching them. These encounters all have one frightening thing in common. Someone went out alone, and something or someone was already out there, silently observing, maybe even stalking, from the shadows. As we break down each clip, frame by frame, and identify what might be lurking just beyond sight, ask yourself this: how long could you have lasted? Or would you have run, leaving everything behind, just to escape whatever was watching? Just beyond the firelight? This personal encounter is one that will stay with you long after the story ends. It's the kind of tale that makes you think twice about venturing too far into the woods, especially when you're deep in Bigfoot country. Bill and Debbie, from the Missouri Ozarks, shared their unsettling experiences. We've even found success with audio recorders, capturing Bigfoot vocalizations, which hints at their elusive presence. Bill began recounting a scary camping trip in the Mark Twain National Forest. He'd seen Bigfoot before, and Debbie wanted her own proof. He took her to a remote, active campsite, betting on activity on their second night. He chose to take her out at a place he had some experience camping before. He sets the scene for their adventure.
Okay, well, it started with, I had already seen a couple of Bigfoots, and I tell my wife about this, my wife Debbie, and I tell my wife about it, and so, she believed me, but she wanted to of course, see one herself. Everybody does, even though it's very difficult to see one. But anyway, I took her out to a place that I'd been researching where I've had lots of experiences at.
Sure enough, that second night, distant talking grew closer. Soon, he felt unseen creatures were just 20 yards from their tent, making unsettling jibber-jabber sounds. Debbie was terrified. Bill thought 3 adult Bigfoots, surprised to find campers, began making loud hoot owl calls directly at their tent. He also described a terrifying solo experience at the same spot. After an unnerving series of repetitive owl calls, he perceived a large, dark figure about 15 yards from his tent. He recalls a certain call that kept going on and on till the point that he realized that the sound was nearly 15 yards away from him.
Which, in the back of my mind, I'm thinking that doesn't seem right, because are they territorial? Are they that sharing? I don't know, but I suddenly heard one that kept just going hoot owls over and over and over again. I counted 52 times when I started counting, which wasn't right away, so I don't know how many times exactly, but I counted 52 times, and then it stopped. And right when it stopped, just a few seconds later, there was
When he fired his pistol, the woods erupted with deafening yells and screams, as if they believed he'd harmed one of their own. In another instance, Bill overheard multiple Bigfoots on a gravel road, seemingly conversing and even laughing loudly, as if telling jokes. There's 3 or 4 of them up the gravel road, and they were talking, and it sounded like they were telling jokes. And then they would start kind of laughing, he shared, revealing their complex communication.
And there was one outside my tent growling, like a dog. It was a real deep guttural growl, and it went on for about, not a long time, but it seemed like a long time because I was in my tent, scared, petrified. Maybe 6 or 7 minutes he just lay out there and growled. And then there was another one behind his tent, huffing and puffing like that one did to me, in the same area, because he was camped in the same spot.
Bill firmly believes these intelligent beings, with their advanced vocal abilities, are permanent residents of the woods. The next adventure begins with a daring and unusual challenge. A solo camping trip on top of an old, forgotten fire tower hidden deep in the heart of the Appalachian Mountains. Unlike any typical hike or overnight trip, This journey required the explorer to trek through the wilderness alone, navigating miles of uneven terrain under the cover of night.
We're at the fire tower. I could hear it squeaking in the wind. Alright, we're gonna go up on top of it and test it out. Looks like somebody left a fire pit too. Fires are illegal here though, so I'm not gonna be utilizing this fire pit. I'm just gonna put on some of my more protective clothes for the warmth, and just in case I fall off this thing, I have a little bit of a...
The plan was ambitious and easy: to hike for hours in total darkness, reaching the tower just in time to witness the first light of dawn paint the mountains with color. The fire tower itself, located high above the forest canopy, had not been in use since the 1970s. Now weathered and creaking with age, it stood as a monument to another era. The structure, barely clinging to time, promised not just a challenge of physical strength, but also a rare opportunity for solitude, reflection, and a deeper connection with nature, only if the explorer could reach it. Every sound seemed sharper, be it the rustle of a leaf or the occasional crack of a branch.
All around me was pouring rain, thunder, lightning. I never knew when a tree was gonna get hit and maybe fall on me, and I just wanted to get out of there as soon as possible. It was a very scary situation. And I eventually did get to my car, but the last stretch of the hike was a giant open field for like 3/4 of a mile. So that was really stressful, being the tallest thing in this field running.
Before the wilderness, a brief stop in Harrisburg provided a taste of civilization and a disappointing gas station sandwich. Along the way, fascinating old buildings caught the explorer's eye. The mountain ascent was tough, with a heavy pack and the awareness of local rattlesnakes. However, as the explorer pushed on, the quiet of the woods and encounters with wildlife brought a surprising calm. Although the expectation of what might be hiding in the shadows still felt real, the explorer started feeling less scared, hearing a rattlesnake in the brush, then spotting a beautiful deer, a majestic buck, observing them calmly from a distance.
But I'm almost here. Like I was saying, not feeling as scared as I was before. It is definitely a weird feeling being in the woods by yourself, but the more you're out here, the more comfortable it is for some reason. I hear my first rattlesnake. He's in this brush over here.
This moment marked a mental shift, fostering a feeling of unity with nature after a period of intense personal stress. The long hike culminated at the towering structure, its metal groaning in the wind. The climb up its decaying stairs was daunting, but the explorer found a precarious spot inside the cabin. After a challenging night battling the wind, sleep eventually came. The reward arrived with the first light of dawn. The explorer witnessed a truly breathtaking panoramic sunrise, with mountains emerging from darkness and a vast lake sparkling below.
It's a really beautiful sight, seeing the complete darkness around me just turn to the mountain peaks that I see. And right beyond where the camera is, I could see a huge lake. I'm pretty sure that's the reservoir here for the city of Harrisburg. And I just see all the peaks around me completely illuminating themselves as the sun comes up. It's a really beautiful sight, and it's definitely the most beautiful sight I've ever woken up to in my life, so I'm thankful for it.
It was the most beautiful sight the explorer had ever woken up to. A fulfilling end to the demanding journey. The stressful hike of the night before, washed away by the beautiful sight, brought a profound sense of gratitude and accomplishment. This solo camping adventure unfolds deep within the heart of the Whispering Woman Woods, which is a remote and scary forest steeped in eerie local legends and long-standing whispers of Bigfoot activity. Known to locals as a place where strange things happen and people rarely go alone, this chilling reputation draws only the most daring explorers. The goal of this trip was clear: to investigate both the rumored paranormal phenomena and all the reported sightings of Sasquatch that have surfaced over the years.
There's also something else kind of going on in this place, and what I think is there's possibly a Bigfoot. So I asked a lot of you guys on X tonight, what would you rather watch me do?
But the forest wasted no time reminding the camper just how unpredictable and unsettling it could be. Mere moments after setting up camp, an unearthly scream pierced the stillness of the night. It was loud, sharp, and unmistakably close. It echoed through the trees like a warning, immediately shifting the tone from excitement to unease. From that moment on, it became clear. This would be no ordinary night in the woods.
It almost sounds like something's moaning, but it's quiet. What am I hearing that's making that noise?
As the night went on, the eerie sensations intensified. The explorer reported a constant feeling of being watched and heard unusual sounds that couldn't belong to known animals. At one point, after attempting to elicit a response by knocking rocks together, the explorer sensed an unseen presence, describing a distinct impression of something nearby. There was an incident where it sounded like a rock was thrown, even though no one else was visible, confirming the unsettling atmosphere of being observed by something unseen.
The thing is with this place too, when you come out here, you always feel like you're being watched. Oh look, a stick. I didn't even realize that was there. Okay, but something like definitely threw like a rock or something.
The most shocking event occurred later in the night, when the explorer discovered a heavy boulder inexplicably moved onto a bridge where it hadn't been before. This physical evidence of a powerful unknown presence, combined with further strange noises and a series of 3 distinct knocks heard from the direction of the camp, cemented the explorer's belief in a large, mysterious creature. The sheer impossibility of the boulder's movement by natural means was a major turning point in the experience, highlighting the strength of whatever was out there.
Something's moving back there. What is that? Okay, there's 100% something out here.
These unexplained occurrences left the explorer convinced that Bigfoot was indeed present in the haunted forest. In this clip, we see a solo camper begins his hike deep into a forest trail, the terrain calm, sun filtering through the trees. The occasional rustling of leaves or snapping of twigs keeps him alert, but nothing seems out of the ordinary at first. He comments on a strange, lurking animal smell that doesn't match any known wildlife he's familiar with. The deeper he goes, the more usual it returns.
Horses or something, because I've been smelling animal multiple times on this hike so far, and I'm about a mile in.
As he crosses a makeshift bridge near a clearing, a sudden noise cracks the calm. It sounds like something heavy moving through the brush parallel to his path. He pauses, the camera shaking slightly as he scans the tree line. For a moment, there's nothing. Then, movement. A shadow darts between the trunks, large and fast. He questions aloud whether it's a person or maybe even a bear, but there's hesitation in his voice. It didn't move like a bear, and it wasn't walking like any human he's seen.
I mean, it's bright out here, and it was almost like it was a pure shadow that I was watching. Could have been a black bear. This is a wild place, but it was trying to be stealthy walking through the woods.
Later, while near a stream, the natural white noise is disrupted by what sounds like hushed, creepy whispering. He stops again. Nobody is supposed to be out here. He's far from any marked trail and even far from other hikers. But the murmuring continues, low and indistinct, rising and falling like speech but in no recognizable language. He adjusts his camera and whispers that he feels like he's being watched. His posture stiffens, and the recording subtly shifts to handheld. The sense of isolation is strong now, but he chooses to keep going, unwilling to turn back.
It looks like this road wraps up, and it should go right next to the clearing And at that point, we look for a spot. Ooh, yeah, we're coming up on the clearing now.
Back at his makeshift base, he tries to distract himself with coffee and conversation to the camera. But the woods don't let him forget. They're too quiet. Even the insects seem to have stilled. He begins to pack up early, his body language less confident than when he started. Something out there? A Bigfoot, maybe? Something just out of sight had changed the tone of this trip. This was supposed to be a casual solo hike, but now he's heading back down the trail, eyes constantly scanning the thick woods behind him. This clip starts from what was supposed to be a fun solo trip into the high desert forest just south of Flagstaff, Arizona. Larry had woken up early and followed the winding forest roads deeper than he ever had before. With little to no cell signal, the remote beauty of the burned and slowly regrowing woods offered the kind of escape only isolation can provide. But the deeper into the forest he went, the heavier the silence seemed to sit.
Welcome back to the channel. My name is Larry if you're new. I felt extra motivated this morning and just got up early, and I have been cruising these back roads here in the mountains just south of Flagstaff. We're a little over 7,000 feet, and I've just never been back here this far, and it's just a beautiful area.
That night, after cooking dinner over his portable stove, Larry sat by the fire, letting the cold settle in around him. The dogs were calm, but his eyes kept drifting toward the tree line. A sudden sound, a heavy crack from the woods behind him, made him pause mid-sentence. His breath caught in his chest. It might have been a falling branch, he thought. Or maybe not. The sound had weight, and something about the way it snapped made his instincts tighten.
There's been times where I'm out here, or not out here, but in the woods, and you just hear something you can't explain.
He tried to get over it, told himself it was nothing. Still, as he sat by the fire, he found himself listening more than relaxing. Part of him wanted to see something, anything that could help him give an explanation to the sound. A coyote, a cow, even a person. But the trees only stared back, quiet and unreadable. He leaned closer to the fire, hoping it would silence his thoughts.
I catch myself just sitting here listening. Part of me just wants it to be a cow or a coyote or something. Like I just want to see something that I could know that it was it, just so I can just drop it. Like I'm trying to sit up.
By morning, things seemed normal again. The sun had returned warmth to the air, and the dogs were back to their playful selves. Larry made coffee, laughed at his dog's tricks, and cooked breakfast. But the unease never really left. Something had passed through those woods in the dark. Something he couldn't quite name but could still feel, lurking just beyond his sight. In this clip, we have a crazy experience of a camper being trailed. Utah was supposed to be a quiet stopover, just a place to sleep and cool off after a long stint in Las Vegas. But as the van moved north along the highway, something felt off. A silver car began tailing far too closely, following every lane change, every exit. At first it seemed like a coincidence, but when every turn through Cedar City was mirrored, suspicion grew into something more primal. Each detour, each quick turn, failed to shake the car. 10 minutes passed in this eerie game of pursuit. Our driver knew he was being followed.
To my complete surprise, the car that was following me decided to pull up right here on my right passenger side. It was at this point I noticed an old woman in a silver car just staring at me intently, and it was just the most intense and creepy stare that I've ever seen, just looking at me through the cold glass. She motioned over to me to roll my window down, but I had enough. I didn't want to risk anything more than I already have. At this point, I definitely felt endangered and threatened, and I didn't want...
Pulling into a Walmart lot, surrounded by other campers, brought a moment of relief until the silver car slid in beside the van. Inside was an elderly woman. Her face stone cold, her eyes locked onto the van's window. She gestured toward the window, inviting him to interact, but every instinct screamed to get away. The van roared back to life. Escape became a priority. He drove through town, watched her headlights in the mirror, hoping they'd finally leave him. They didn't. Even after rerouting, circling side streets, and checking Google Maps for the nearest police station, the silver car kept up. It wasn't until he pulled in front of the station itself that the car disappeared into the night. Another time he was parked overnight in a Home Depot lot in California. Confirmed safe by multiple van lifer apps, it should have been uneventful, but hours after dark, heavy knocking on the van doors woke him up. Multiple police cars, floodlights, and officers encircled the vehicle like he was a criminal or a fugitive. Though none of them accused him of wrongdoing, they demanded ID, asked loaded questions, and scanned the van like something more sinister was hidden inside. Eventually, they left. But even after they were gone, the cold judgment lingered.
Confused why they felt the need to bother me at such a late hour, especially since it was okay for me to park and camp there. Every single one of the officers said it was okay for me to camp and park there. That wasn't the issue, but they wanted to identify my identification. They made me give up my ID, and I had to explain to them why I was there. I told them I was just getting back from a camping trip. The whole tone and approach to this encounter just felt very wrong. I felt like I was being treated as a suspect, even though I had...
The most bone-chilling event, however, came during a backcountry hike in Aspen. While resting by a river, his friend froze, eyes fixed across the water. Something that was tall, dark, and partially hidden was watching from behind the trees. The current was too fast for anyone to cross, and there were no trails nearby. It moved just enough to be seen, then disappeared. That feeling of being seen by something unknown never really left them. It could have been anyone or anything. Alone in the center of Bigfoot territory, Trent sets out in his van to explore one of North America's most mysterious places, the Pacific Northwest. With its moss-covered trees, endless rainfall, and creepy quiet, this forest feels like it's holding secrets beneath its green canopy. Locals don't just call it Sasquatch country for fun, but many truly believe the creature walks these woods.
For thousands of years here in North America, the natives here have reported seeing giant hairy people wandering through the forests. And those giant hairy people supposedly look just like this. Which, in my opinion, if I saw this guy wandering around in the forest around me, that would be terrifying.
Before plunging deep into the backcountry, Trent visits a museum dedicated to Bigfoot, learning about legendary encounters like the Ape Canyon incident, where miners claimed they were attacked by massive creatures hurling boulders at their cabin. It's enough to make anyone uncomfortable, especially with large footprints discovered afterward.
This story about Ape Canyon is one of the more popular stories here in the Pacific Northwest. And this actually happened right up the road from here at Mount St. Helens. But essentially, the way the story goes, in the early 1900s, there was a group of miners and they set up camp. And throughout their stay in this forest, they started hearing some weird noises in the forest at night, like whistles from nearby ridgetops, low thumping sounds coming from off in the distance. And then one night when two of the miners went out to go get some water, they noticed a 7 to 8 foot tall creature peeking out from behind a tree, looking directly at them.
Next, he meets Tyler, a local whose own encounter changed him from a skeptic to a believer. He tells Trent about a night in 2019 when, sitting by a lake he'd visited since childhood, he felt an invisible presence watching him. Turning, he saw something peeking from behind a tree which was small, furry, surreal. It disappeared in a blink, but the moment imprinted itself into his mind.
Yeah, so it was 2019. It was August, Mountain National Forest. I was up at a lake that I consistently went to my entire life growing up, hunting, fishing, camping up there. It's kind of like when my bubble burst feeling, something was looking at me. And so I just kind of took a look behind my left shoulder. And about 20, we've measured it out now, it was about 20 feet away. Peeking at me from behind a tree was what I first saw. What I first thought was like Jim Henson's Muppet sitting there staring at me. It disappeared back behind the tree as quickly as it appeared.
Tyler now leads weekly forest expeditions with a team searching for proof of what he saw. Inspired by these stories, Trent hikes into one of the least traveled forest trails he can find. The trail seems to be thick with silence that feels more oppressive than peaceful.
Sasquatch sightings and encounters are extremely rare, which is why they've been a mystery for centuries. And I think because of that, it's safe to assume that, like any other animals, they don't really want anything to do with us humans.
Then, he spots a black mass through the trees. At first he assumes it's just a stump or something, but as he approaches, the size and shape suggest it could be a possible hiding place for something large.
It looks like something might be living in there. It's a perfect spot for, honestly, a pretty big animal. So I'm not going to get too close to that, because who knows what lives in there.
Later that evening, parked at an isolated forest road with no one around for miles, Trent sets up his camp. The surrounding trees cast a canopy on the area. As night falls, the crackling fire offers some comfort, but each sound, a creak and rustle from the woods beyond, sends a chill. He looks back on everything he's learned, that gorillas, too, were once considered mythical. Could Sasquatch be another species we just haven't officially discovered yet?
We know it exists. And I think that little fact sort of adds some validity to the whole Sasquatch situation, at least for me, because I think that proves that as much as we think we know everything about the world around us,
though he doesn't catch sight of a creature that night, Trent leaves with something else. In the unexplored folds of this world, maybe legends like Bigfoot aren't just some mythical creatures, but they are closer than we expect. The forest was calm as the boys hiked toward their campsite. The late evening sun shone through tall pines, casting long shadows over mossy ground. They weren't strangers to these woods, as this was their playground growing up. As they climbed a narrow ridge, they reached a beautiful overlook with a perfect view of the valley. It was there that they decided to set up camp, joking and enjoying the cool wind.
As we began the journey up the hill, we talked amongst ourselves and we said, if we want to have a chance to see any deer, probably the next best spot would be up on top of that hill because you can see for a long ways.
Good job, Davey. Thanks. Want to go start the fire? Sure.
We found a real good place to pitch our tent. It was just the perfect spot.
Night, Keel came in quickly. After a small fire and a simple dinner, they zipped themselves inside the tent, not aware that something else had found them interesting and was watching them from the trees. Around 1:30 a.m., the peace was shattered with a loud crack. It wasn't a twig underfoot, it was something thick, like a branch being broken in half. The sound had ripped the boys out of their peaceful sleep. At first they thought someone might be playing a prank, but then they heard a strange, rhythmic breathing, deep, slow, calculated, and disturbingly close.
So around 1:30 in the morning, we started getting tired. We laid our head down to go to sleep and just started getting relaxed. I heard snapping noises. The snapping noises was louder than a raccoon or a squirrel.
Wake up! What? I heard something. There's something out there. You sure? Yeah.
That's when we started hearing the breathing noises. No, I never heard nothing like that before.
The tent moved. Then a shadow moved across the thin fabric wall. The boys froze, paralyzed by a chilling awareness. Whatever was outside wasn't just curious. It was hunting, summoning courage. They burst from the tent and saw it. The creature towered over them with its broad, massive, covered in dark fur. Its silhouette was huge, limbs thick and unnaturally long.
1, 2, 3.
And then I see what's actually standing there. It's not George's brother. I see this thing is about this wide because I'm looking straight at it. I'm looking almost like at its chest in the shoulder area. And it's about 3.5, 4 feet wide. And it's all hairy. My mind was going in 1,000 different directions at that point, thinking, what in the world is this? And I had literally raised my head up to see its head. And that's when I caught its eyes pure black, pure black.
The two screamed and tore down the hill, fleeing blindly toward safety. Every instinct in their body told them, don't look back. Shaken and breathless, they pounded on George's door. The story wasn't new. Months ago, he'd spotted something creepily similar near the barn, just before a cow went missing. He never told anyone.
When did you guys see it? I said, well, we seen it about 6 months ago. He said, it was in the barn out there. We heard the cows mooing and we heard a commotion, so I grabbed the torchlight. What was that?
The next morning, armed with a flashlight and a cautious step, they returned to the campsite. That's when they found the prints. Huge, deep, spaced too far apart for any regular animal. Something walked on two legs, something heavy. The tracks stopped suddenly on a dirt road with no direction, no struggle, no more prints. It was as if the thing had simply disappeared into thin air. George's father turned to them and said, "Pack up. You're not staying out here again."
This thing must be massive. Look how far apart the prints are. Come on, boys. Let's get out of here. Grab your bags.
He said, you know what, boys? It's time to take this thing. Get your stuff. Let's get out of here. He said, this place is giving me the creeps.
Something strange is happening in Utah. The Rocky Mountain Sasquatch Organization, one of the most dedicated research groups in the field, is on site at one of the most active Bigfoot sighting hotspots in the state, the south slope of the Uinta Mountains. This remote area is dense, rugged, and full of stories. But it's not just stories they're after. They've come for evidence.
But we're in a Bigfoot sighting hotspot on the south slope of the Uinta Mountains of Utah, and we come upon some downed trees across the road. A couple of trees.
Recently, a video began circulating, unclear but compelling. It showed what appeared to be a large, upright figure moving through the trees. The video didn't originate from RMSO, but it brought them here. And now their boots are on the ground. From the moment they enter the area, signs begin to emerge. Jenny, one of the lead trackers, locates a suspected footprint. Deep, defined, and larger than any natural track typically found in these woods. She documents it immediately, but she's cautious. In areas like this, such prints are unusual, but not unheard of. Still, the shape is off. The stride, unnatural.
And right under where he would have had to like step and reach up, this is like the front part of a front print. It's big. You see the front, here's where the big toe is, and this is where the little back toe is. It was right here, like the front part of the foot. It would have stepped right there, and then while it was reaching up.
A short time later, the couple spots something more disturbing. 12 feet up a nearby tree, the trunk is snapped clean, not bent, not broken by wind, but twisted and severed as if done by immense force. Kelly, who has logged countless hours in the field, takes one look and shakes his head. "This wasn't storm damage," he says. "This was done by something."
Doing the snap off, and that snap off is about 12 feet up there. 12 feet up there, 4 inches in diameter. In my opinion, it's showing its size and strength, 17-inch foot. And look how little the types of leaves for this type of tree are, because this is a mountain tree.
Jenny scans the tree line. She heard a sound. Jenny hears it first. It's animal-like, but indistinct. A minute passes. Then footsteps, slow and deliberate, just out of sight. Still they press forward. They've heard things like this before. They've seen it turn from noise to nothing.
We're gonna look and see if we can find some hair.
Over there?
Jenny has found a line of these structures. Did you hear vocalization too? Before we went on this hike, Jenny heard, what was it?
It went, "Whoa," like that.
I just heard a footstep in the forest.
Oh, great.
Just now.
But what they find next is harder to explain. Scattered across the forest floor are massive tree limbs and trunks, clearly relocated. The sheer size and weight of the timber would require significant strength to move, even with tools. But there are no tool marks, no tire tracks, no drag lines. It's as if something enormous picked them up and carried them.
Show them that had to have been ripped out of the ground. That one right there.
Yeah, and relocated. There isn't...
Yeah, it was ripped out of the ground and brought over here.
So is that one. That one's snapped and broken.
That one, this is actually...
This one right here looks like the host.
The deeper they go, the more signs they find. Prints, snaps, and cracking branches echoing through the woods, like whispers of something just beyond view. The group begins to document, measuring each track, logging GPS coordinates, comparing impressions. The tension builds. They're in deep now. The sun begins to dip, casting long shadows between the trees.
All right, Jenny's gonna point out this track she found.
It's old as well, but under here, you can see where that toe right here.
Oh yeah, you can see the entire width of it.
The whole, all the toes. And then when I measure it...
They know they can't stay out here much longer. The further the sun falls, the thinner their margin of safety becomes. As they prepare to head back, the forest reminds them it's not empty. A sharp crack, then another. The unmistakable feeling of being watched. They don't run, but they don't linger either.
I wonder how long this boulder's been here, because it looks like it landed on a living tree at one time. Perhaps within my lifetime, it rolled down the mountain. It looks like I can see an ancient swath of destruction that way.
Interestingly, this isn't the first time Utah has delivered something truly unnerving. Just a short distance away, in Provo Canyon, one of the state's most viral Bigfoot encounters occurred. In 2012, a group of hikers was walking a trail when they noticed something large moving in the trees. Thinking it was a bear, they started recording. But what they captured was not what they expected. The footage shows a massive bipedal figure standing upright before quickly turning and charging toward the group. The hikers scream and flee. The video is shaky, but the silhouette is unmistakable. Not a bear, not human, but something else entirely. That footage now has millions of views online. It's been examined, debunked, re-examined, and still remains one of the most chilling Bigfoot clips ever taken.
Yeah, we probably should be too close to it, huh? How cool though. Let's go.
And now, the Uinta Mountains, less than 100 miles away, are showing the same signs. It's not just one footprint or one video, it's a pattern. These are the kinds of findings that groups like RMSO live for, not because they prove the creature's existence outright, but because they stack the weight of possibility just a little higher. And if the possibility grows strong enough, the line between myth and reality starts to blur.
Well, look at that.
We're in a Bigfoot hotspot and we're finding Bigfoot evidence.
There's more of them all woven, excuse me, right through those trees right there.
I know, I wonder if it... I'm gonna step over this track in case we come back to it.
As the couple exits the forest, night settling fast behind them. They don't have all the answers, but they do have data. Tracks, measurements, sounds, snapshots of something that doesn't belong in the wildlife guidebook. They weren't expecting a face-to-face encounter. They came for the signs, and this time the forest gave them plenty. It started simple, just another trek through the dense woods. The forest was thick, old, and drenched from heavy rain. The explorer climbed down a ditch, cutting through the tangled brush, scanning for signs of activity. Alone, deep in the trees, the mood quickly shifted. A heavy grunt broke the silence, bow, followed by the sound of wood twisting. Not snapping, but twisting like something forcing the tree to break. Panic kicked in. He wasn't waiting to see what was out there. He turned and left the area fast. A few minutes later, a tall balsam tree caught his attention.
It's still alive because it still has like foliage on it. You can see there. It's a healthy tree by the looks of things, but it's been completely snapped off and pushed over recently. What's interesting right here, we're pretty close to the road still, but you can see there's almost like a natural trail right through here. Kind of twists around a bit.
It was alive, still green, but something had snapped it recently. Nearby, a poplar, also freshly broken. Both trees were solid, no rot, no weakness. Something with serious strength had pushed them down. Between the fallen trunks, a wood trail cut through the forest, almost too perfect. Near that path, he spotted a deep, fresh depression in the soil. Maybe a footprint, maybe not. But it was strange. The rain came down harder. Water started pooling everywhere. Before heading back, he tried something. Wood knocks. See for yourself.
Might have to return again when it's more dry. Before I head back, I might as well just try a couple of wood knocks on this tree with a stick here. See if I get an answer.
He slammed a stick against a tree, pausing between knocks, listening carefully. The woods stayed silent, no answers. But the weight of the silence felt thick, like something was out there, just choosing not to respond. As he pushed deeper along the swollen river, he remembered a local elder's story. He had been told about a second pond nearby, a place where Sasquatch had been spotted. It wasn't easy terrain, thick brush, fallen trees, treacherous footing. He waded through the cold water, slipping across rotting logs. The deeper he went, the more isolated he became.
I heard a story from a local elder today who explained that this second pond I heard about from another community member here is along this river. I just keep following the river and I should find the lake and then the second pond where Sasquatches are known to congregate, according to both of these two community members. You can see there's all this water pooled from the river being so swollen, but now I can wade through this stuff.
The paths disappeared, the river was raging, and the woods closed in from every side. He climbed up slippery banks, surrounded by ancient forest. The river was too deep to cross, the current too strong, but the curiosity pushed him further. He tried imitating the Ohio howl. Here's the moment it happened.
I've never tried to imitate the Ohio howl or anything before, so I'm probably going to butcher it, but let's see if anything happens. And hopefully if they do hear me over the river, something will respond.
His call echoed through the trees. No immediate response, but tension filled the air. As he paused, a pelican suddenly shot up from the water, catching him completely off guard. The ground became even more dangerous. Every step risked a fall into the fast-moving river.
The footing is super treacherous here. Every step is a challenge. They don't want to fall into the river. Oh, almost did there. It's so thick here. Really hard to make any headway. Really hard to make any headway. Thought I heard something up there.
He kept moving carefully but heard something ahead. A sound from the bluff above. He couldn't see it, but something was there. The elder had mentioned this exact spot, a hill known for strange activity. He scanned the trees, feeling watched from the other side of the river. The bird calls came again, but they didn't sound right. Not like any bird he knew.
I just heard that weird bird call again. It was like a bird, but not quite like a bird. I've heard Bigfoots imitate other animals. I didn't have the camera rolling, of course, but even if I had, I'm not sure you would have heard it. It came from that way this time, kind of back the way I came. It was super quiet. I could barely hear it even with my ears over the noise of the river, but...
They were close, too quiet to fully catch on camera, but sharp enough to grab his attention. He kept hearing them from different spots as if something was circling him. His instincts screamed not to go further, but he pushed on. Watch this clip closely.
I still haven't moved from this spot, but I just heard some trees moving above my head up this bluff here. Sounded like something big, moving trees and foliage. There's been dead silence, apart from the river. As far as the woods themselves, dead silence this whole time, except for those two weird bird-like calls that didn't sound natural somehow.
He tried another howl. Moments later, trees shifted above him. Something big was moving. Heavy steps brushed through the foliage, just one set of movements, but they were deliberate. The river roared beside him, but the woods were otherwise dead silent. The crossing became impossible. The river was too deep, too strong. As he turned back, he caught it. A flash of movement high on the bluff. Quick, dark, gone in seconds. He switched on his headlamp, scanning the trees. Take a look at this.
Big and black. See, for all the skeptics who are always wondering why we don't have the camera rolling, it's because it happens in a second and then it's over and you don't know when it's coming. It's so frustrating. Yeah, there.
Something large moved again. It filled a gap between the trees, just for a moment. He couldn't say what it was, but it wasn't small. Rain started to fall. His phone battery dropped fast. As he left the area, another loud thud echoed from the direction he'd just come from. Like a tree crashing down, but distant. He pushed through the dark, glancing back, feeling like something was still watching. No clear sighting, no solid proof, just flashes, sounds, and a strong feeling he wasn't alone. What do you think was out there? Which state do you think is Bigfoot's true home? Have you seen something near your town? Drop your story in the comments. Hit like if this trail map blew your mind, and subscribe for more boots-on-the-ground encounters. Because Bigfoot isn't staying put, and the next sighting could be near you. Deep in the forest, something massive moved. Not an animal, not a person. A shape, on the thermal lens, too large, too upright, too deliberate. Dr. Maria Mayer locked eyes on it first. Just a shadow at the start. But then it stood up, tall, solid, and watching. She wasn't alone, and neither was the team. The footage from Expedition Bigfoot on the Travel Channel captured it all. See for yourself. Watch this part right here.
Oh, there it is. Oh, yep. That thing is back. Oh my God. Ronnie, it's standing up. Ronnie, can you hear me? Ronnie, can you hear me? Ronnie!
Maria!
There's something moving over there.
That heat signature? That's no ordinary wildlife. They tracked the heat, but what they didn't expect was how many there were. 4 enormous signatures moved just beyond the tree line. They weren't fleeing, they were circling, pacing, heads poking from behind trees, almost like they knew they were being watched. Suddenly, the signatures began to vanish, fading, shrinking, dissolving into white orbs of light. One by one, the forms shifted until they were just small, glowing spheres, as if the creatures weren't walking away, but transforming. Watch this clip closely, right here.
Don't see it with my flashlight. But this heat signature is so big that it's coming through a huge shrub.
How big does it look?
Is it on? It's getting smaller. It's getting smaller. And the bottom part is looking more and more faint and transparent.
So it's literally changing shape before your eyes.
It's changing shape. It's getting smaller and starting to disappear. Hold on. No.
It's impossible to explain, yet there it is on camera. Shape-shifting silhouettes dissolving before their eyes. Then came the sounds. A high-pitched whistle, long and sharp, echoing through the woods. No coyote, no known animal. Just a chilling, melodic call no one could identify. As the team stood frozen, every hair on their arms stood straight up. Something was moving around them, staying just out of sight, yet always watching. The forest wasn't empty. It was alive with presence. Something was following them, and it wanted them to know.
Ronnie, what was that?
I don't know. I've never heard anything like that. Ever. That was crystal clear.
There's no way that was a coyote.
That had more of a whistle, long-term whistle.
But it wasn't just heat signatures or eerie whistles. The ground held its own proof. Russell Acord made the discovery. A line of massive barefoot prints in the mud, pressed deep and wide. 18 inches long, clear heel strikes, toes splayed perfectly in the dirt. No human had walked this remote stretch barefoot in the dead of night. The tracks didn't just walk, they emerged directly from the water, as if something heavy climbed onto shore, paused, then headed straight back into the forest. Take a look at this.
Straight up right now. Something has moved through here. Oh my, look at this. Holy, look at that. That is a footprint.
You'll see it. That footprint isn't just big. It's impossible to fake at that scale. When the full team arrived, they followed the tracks. A trail that led from riverbanks deep into dense brush, each print spaced with a stride far too long for any human. 16 inches, then 18, leading straight to the tree line. It was clear. Something enormous had passed through, and recently. See the moment, right here.
Here's where it gets really strange. Tell me what you see in front of me.
Oh my God.
These are fresh from last night.
Whoa.
If you look in the water behind it, looks like an impression in the water back here.
Ooh.
This thing literally appears to have come out of the water and onto this bank. These toes are crystal clear.
Oh my God.
Look at where we are right now. What are the odds of somebody walking through here with bare feet?
Right.
And look just above it.
The stride, the depth, the sheer size, undeniable. Multiple creatures on thermal, strange lights, sounds that don't match any known species, and enormous footprints. It's no longer just a story whispered around campfires. The signs are there, and this time the cameras caught them. But the bigger question remains. What creature walks on 2 legs, vanishes into light, leaves colossal prints and whistles from the dark. A voice answers back, not from a person, not from any known animal, but from something ancient, something to watch. It happens while the camera's rolling, while footprints are being documented just feet away. You hear it. A low, deliberate vocalization cuts through the quiet, captured in real time by Sasquatch Ontario. No static mic, no overnight recorder. This was live, present, proof. See for yourself, right here.
How old a heel? It's not very big. 9 inches?
I don't know. I think it's the same individual back and forth here, except for this one. Look at this. I got to get the tape. Oh no, I got the tape measure right there. Okay, hold on. Let me.
I don't even know where I'm just staying over here.
Okay. There's one right there. Oh, I can kind of see the trackway. All right. Okay, and stopping this remote.
The Ninyanin vocal rings out like a warning and a welcome all at once. It wasn't the only sign. Lying just ahead, a single footprint pressed into the earth like a signature. Not just any print, 21 inches long. The big guy, as they call him, had been here 2 nights in a row, and this was his mark. The impression was deep, wide, and undeniable. No mistaking it for an accident of nature or a misread animal track. This was deliberate, powerful, evidence of something massive. Take a look at this.
There's a single adult print and the rest are all the young ones. No, I think that's the same one. Same individual doing this trackway here. That's amazing. Absolutely amazing. So that's with Neff. That's 1, 2, 3. That's 4 family members showed up tonight.
That footprint tells a story all its own. The shape, the width, the defined toes, all there, speaking to something more human than animal. As they kept moving, more prints appeared. Tracks from multiple family members, each different in size, but all following the same unseen path. The smaller ones interspersed with giants, as if a family group moved together just out of sight, brushing past trees, watching from shadows. They left their marks as if to say, "We're here with you, step for step." Watch this clip closely, right here.
We have company right now. They're throwing snowballs at us. We have one of the adults with a 21-inch footprint. That's got to be 12 feet tall.
That's not the big guy, no.
Yeah, the big guy was 20 inches last time. 20. That's 21 now.
The trail of prints leads through untouched terrain, proof that what's being heard isn't imagination. But it's the voice that lingers. The Ninyanin vocal, captured in the open, reinforces what the native cultures have always said. The Sasquatch are not just physical beings. They are ancient people, masters of consciousness, moving between realities we barely understand. Every vocalization, every print, every shadow confirms that they operate on a level beyond what science dares admit. And yet, here it is, recorded, documented, undeniable. The forest may seem quiet, but it listens, it speaks back, and sometimes it leaves proof you can't ignore. See for yourself, right here.
Yeah, and that is snowballs from them. And that was a 21-inch footprint and a almost 12-inch footprint. And earlier we had about a 9.5-inch footprint and a 16-inch footprint. And the 16-inch was Neff, which is 4 inches of growth since this all started.
The voice, the prints, the eerie sense that you're never alone in these woods. It's not just tracking anymore. It's interaction, contact, evidence that shifts everything we thought we knew. So the question hangs. If these beings are this close, this present, with knowledge far beyond ours, how much longer can the truth be kept hidden? If these stories didn't convince you to think twice before camping alone, then we don't know what will. Whether it's a curious creature from the shadows or something far more primal just guarding its ground, one thing's for sure. Something is out there, and it's watching. The next time you find yourself deep in the woods, far from help, Remember these clips. They weren't just stories, they were warnings. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share your own terrifying experience in the comments below. We read every single one. Until next time, stay safe. Trust your instincts, and whatever you do, never camp alone.